with South Sudan stakeholders on a sexual reproductive health bill in Juba. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Kafuki Jada. Now the news in details. Vice President Waniga has said the planned dredging of the Nile tributaries was approved by the Council of Ministers last year. The Economic Cluster Vice President says the Cabinet passed the decision in its resolution number 39/2021. Recently, some members of the public widely criticized the move. This was after the Unity State government announced it's receiving dredging machines from the Egyptian government to start the project. Speaking during an event in Juba yesterday, Dr. Waniga revealed that the intention to dredge the Bahr al-Ghazal and Bahr al-Jabal tributaries was long decided in 2016. According to Iga, a handful of ministers opposed the proposal last year, but the decision was final.
We in the Council of Ministers, some ministers who are against this, very helpful, maybe two of them. They were abroad when we were discussing this fact. And we discussed this fact, and we passed it as a resolution. That the writing will help to start. The background is that since CPA in 2006, the issue of dredging became necessary, and it was discussed in the then South Sudan government before the independence. They accepted. The then government signed MOUs with Egypt. So on the 20th of September, Satisa Yunusrin Huran Al-Majlis Sultan, the cabinet discussed this issue, and we resolved that dredging will have to take place. Resolution number 39 is struck 2021. The issue of dredging of water in Bahr al-Ghazal and Bahr al-Jabal.
Waniga went to clarify that the project has nothing to do with the digging of the Jungule Canal, saying some citizens have misunderstood the project.
The next point is about Jungule, and open your ears, please, so that misunderstanding is erased. About Jungule, to simply say, the issue under discussion on feasibility task being studied is the resumption of digging the Jungule Canal, given that floods every year displace the populace there. More branches are expected passes through rural areas in Bur, Akobo, Pangak, and Shah. So because I said this big district of ours, known as Pangak, 80% of the population are displaced. They have gone to higher grounds near Malakal. And Bur, about 60% of the people are displaced. They have gone to different areas. Let us not destroy our country because of lack of information. The misunderstanding is that dredging has been confused with digging the Jungule Canal. These are two different things.
Dr. Iga assures South Sudanese, particularly intellectuals, that the disadvantage of dredging the Nile are minimal compared to the disadvantages.
When we were doing the invitation a few days ago of awarding the president, some guys even went to the extent that will be war. Please, what is happening? We are tired of war, we want peace. Nobody wants to hear anything about war. What is happening? And we spoke in public. Why? So out of total misunderstanding. So that all intellectuals must be on the correct footing. And we continue the information in the parliament, in whatever gatherings, and we will debate, we will be asking questions to intellectuals to see what are the pros and cons, and try to compare which ones are more. Disadvantages are more than advantages. I will tell you, my friend, if there is any disadvantage, it will not be more than 1%. 99% will definitely be advantages for our people.
It's not clear when the actual dredging of the Nile tributaries will commence. However, authorities in Unity State earlier said the dredging machines were yet to be installed. The Bank of South Sudan governor has warned of harsh measures against foreign banks he says are violating the 2012 Act, providing 90% jobs opportunities to South Sudanese. Moses Makur did not specify the banks that are not respecting the law, but he says the National Financial Institution knows these banks. He made the remarks during the inauguration of the National Bank of Egypt in Juba yesterday.
As for our banking act, a foreign-owned bank, its employment must be 90% South Sudanese, inscribed in the bank minimum. That is a law that has to be observed. So that percentage must be observed. We know that some banks are not observing it, but they must observe it. There is a lot of competition from the national and international banks coming in force in South Sudan. That means there is demand for banking services in South Sudan or for investors to invest in South Sudan.
Makur has cautioned the defunct banks against the violation.
We urge all banks that are licensed in South Sudan to carefully follow the laws regarding banking sector in South Sudan. That is the most requirement. The first thing we comply with is employment wages. We will not accept these disparities to happen again. We are going to make a very harsh measures in those banks that have been violating this for a long time. We are not forgotten, we will come back. So we wish for the national government to avoid these mistakes from the beginning and go on a straight line.
South Sudan has more than 30 licensed commercial banks in the country. The East African Legislative Assembly has conducted a consultative meeting with South Sudan stakeholders on a sexual reproductive health bill in Juba. The bill is anchored on Article 118 of the regional treaty that seeks commitment of each partner state to cooperate in the development of a reproductive health system. It aims to harmonize national health policies and regulations to receive quality health within the community by 2030. This is the project and facilitate the attain of a life course sexual and reproductive health and rights of all persons in the community. Besides, to provide for integrated sexual and reproductive health information and services as part of the universal health coverage of each partner state, and to prohibit harmful practices related matters. Each member state, including South Sudan, is obligated to ensure programs on family planning, information and education to its citizens. Last week's meeting brought together regional representatives, South Sudan's ministers of justice, gender and health. South Sudan lawyers and religious leaders also took part in the discussion. Rutazana Francis, a member of the East African Community Legislative Assembly, says,
and when we are talking about something in South Sudan, it will be for the same purpose in other partner states when it comes to the objective and the interest of the people of the community. The content, the most important part of the bill is to help our citizens access the sexual and reproductive services, and also to be informed on what is the accessibility of those information for them to know what kind of services they need according to the age, according to the needs, specific needs for young people, for adolescents.
For his part, Pastor James Alexandra of the African Inland Church had to say,
we are against abortion in all kinds. We don't encourage abortion. There are some issues that happens. For example, if a mother was sick and the child died, and that can be helped. It depends on each state, and if it's rejected, then we have to come and sit down again and see where the disagreements are. Because most of these articles that have been circulated is about some of the rights, and we have to make sure that we have a better approach when it comes to terms of sexual issues, health and abuses and things like that.
According to reports by the Global Health Action, women excessively bear the burden of mortality related to sexual and reproductive health, with one woman dying out of every 126 live births in South Sudan. In November last year, members of Parliament representing South Sudan of the East African Legislative Assembly have conducted a two-day consultative meeting with stakeholders on the East African Community's Sexual Reproductive Health Bill in Juba. The acting Speaker of the Council of State has raised complaints to the Ugandan envoy to South Sudan peace process with regards to border conflicts that faces in the region. Mary Ayen Majo held talks with Betty Oyola Bigombe on the implementation of the 2018 peace deal in Juba yesterday. After meeting, Ayen said she told diplomats Oyola challenges that the Council of State faces in implementing the peace process. One of the issues, she said, is the border conflict between South Sudan and its neighboring East African member states. Honorable Ayen said that the border disputes are affecting efforts of the unity government in implementing the peace process.
This evening was to share with the Honorable Betty Oyala a number of issues concerning the Council of State. The major issues the CVC leadership raised were the challenges facing the Council of State, especially in the peace implementation process, the border issues that are affecting the Republic of South Sudan, the border in the regions of East Africa as a whole, and she promised to raise some of these issues to the IGAD region for clarifications and better arrangements on how the border conflicts.
Ayen was speaking on the state-owned TV SSBC last evening. Bigombe's visit came weeks after the Ugandan Defense Force clashed with the Sudan's People's Defense Force in Magui County, in which 2 SSPDF soldiers were gunned down. A few days after the confrontation, the UPDF abandoned the conflict zone and retreated into Uganda. An activist has called for equal participation of women in the permanent constitution-making process in South Sudan. Knight Agnes Wani, who works for the Young Women Christian Association, says women participation in the legislation process will contribute towards an inclusive permanent constitution. This is by ensuring their views are incorporated into the document, hence eliminating harmful practices such as forced and early marriages. She encourages fellow activists to widen awareness campaigns on the significance of equal participation of women in the process. Agnes says persistent civic engagement will help women understand their roles in the constitution-making process.
We as activists or women's rights organizations, we should not give up. We should keep on following how far the constitution bill is. We should be informed. We should also continue reviewing the loopholes, the gaps that we know very well that are not in the constitution. Because this is the only time we can arrange things. This is the only opportunity the government has given us as the citizens of this country to outline or to see the things that are not going well in the constitution in this country that are supposed to be fixed so that this country can go forward. Without our views, they will not know what the citizens are going through. So we shouldn't give up. We should keep on pushing. We should participate. It is our role. And we should keep on going to the grassroots levels.
Agnes made these remarks on iRadio's Sundown program last evening. You are listening to iRadio News, and now to the international news brought to you by MTN. My colleague will join us.
Freedom is everyone's desire. Freedom is what makes you and me happy. Freedom is called Horea in my country. My telecom network has chosen to give me freedom. MTN is my network. I have the freedom. I choose affordable and reliable. Horea Bundles is my way. MTN introduces to you Horea Bundles, giving you the freedom to call across all networks with the same bundles. Subscribe by dialing *100 *3 *4 hash and get 15 minutes for only 100 SSB and 30 minutes for 150 SSB, valid for 1 day. Horea, pure freedom. MTN, everywhere you go.
To begin with, the head of the AU Commission has called for restraint, calm and dialogue as the border dispute between Ethiopia and Sudan threatens to escalate. In a statement, Musa Fahik Mahatma said the two brotherly countries should settle any disagreement peacefully. Their forces have clashed at the disputed Al-Fashaga border area following the alleged capture, execution and public display of the bodies of 7 Sudanese soldiers and a civilian killed over the weekend. Sudan said on Tuesday that it had recaptured parts of its territory that were being held by the Ethiopian army. Elsewhere, police in Ghana fired tear gas and arrested 29 demonstrators on Tuesday in the capital Accra following a violent protest against high cost of living. Hundreds had joined the protest organized by the group Arise Ghana, but the otherwise peaceful protest degenerated into chaotic scenes after a standoff between the demonstrators and police over the route for the protest. Police used rubber bullets and water cannons to disperse the angry crowd, who also pelted stones at the police, injuring 12 officers. Finally, U.S. President Joe Biden has announced an expanded military presence of American forces across Europe in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Speaking at the NATO summit in Madrid earlier, he said U.S. forces would be strengthened across land, air, and sea as Russia's President Vladimir Putin had shattered peace. Biden, who was meeting with NATO Chief Jens Stoltenberg, said, "Together with our allies, we are going to make sure that NATO is ready to meet the threats from all directions across every domain." These are news making headlines in the international scene.
Thank you, Alakiri Chol. And now we're going to be going to the sports news, and my colleague Jacob Omoyo will be joining us.
Good afternoon, and to start with, England fought back to beat Italy and seal a place in Friday's European Under-19 Championship final in a dramatic semi-final in Slovakia. The young Lions fell behind to Fabio Miretti's penalty after Brooke Norton calves foul on the Juventus player. Substitute Alex Scott equalized from a corner before Liverpool defender Jarell Quansah headed the winner. England will face Israel in the final after they produce an upset to beat France 2-1 in the second semi-finals. Ian Foster's side have already beaten Israel once in the tournament, winning 1-0 in their final group game on Saturday. Manchester United have reached a broad agreement of a €65 million fee plus adds-on with Barcelona for the Netherlands midfielder Frenkie de Jong. However, club sources say the deal is not done and there are still significant issues to work through. But the development is seen as positive in terms of the transfer eventually reaching a conclusion. The 25-year-old De Jong is Manchester United Eric Ten's #1 summer transfer target. United are also battling with Lyon to sign Feyenoord Netherlands defender Tyrell Malacia, who is valued at €15 million. The 22-year-old left-back, who has 5 Dutch caps, played the full 90 minutes in both recent Nations League victories over Wales and was part of the Feyenoord team beaten by Roma in last month's Europa Conference League final. Lyon thought they were well placed to complete the transfer, but now United have stepped in and made their interest known. And finally, Serena Williams is unsure whether she will play at Wimbledon again, but says Tuesday's first-round exit has motivated her for future Grand Slams. The 23rd-time major winner lost 7-5, 1-7, 7-6 to Harmony turn in a gripping 3-set match as she returned to SW19 after a year out with injury. Asked whether it would be her last appearance at the All England club, the 40-year-old American said in a statement, and I quote, "That's a question I can't answer. I don't know," end quote. 7-time Wimbledon singles champion Williams, who is chasing Margaret Court's record of 24 Grand Slam singles titles, said she did not want Tuesday's loss to be her final memory of a court on which she has had so much success. End of iRadio Sports News, and back to you, my colleague in the studio.
You are listening to iRadio News, and to end this bulletin, here are the headlines again. Vice President Wani Iga has disclosed that the Council of Ministers approved the dredging of the Nile tributaries last year. The Bank of South Sudan governor has warned of harsh measures against foreign banks violating the 2012 Act, providing 90% job opportunities to South Sudanese. And the East African legislature has conducted a consultative meeting with South Sudan stakeholders on a sexual reproductive health bill in Juba. That's the end of iRadio Afternoon News. You can get these stories and updates by subscribing to iRadio News Alerts on your MTN South Sudan number. Call 700 or dial *700# and follow the instructions. If there's a story or an event you would like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on Twitter at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at 1/2 past the hour. I am Kafuki Jada. Thanks for listening.